boyfriend tried to cheat on me, so this is what I did. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years. He's always slept with his phone inside his safe. He always said it was because of the radiation. He's like really scared of it. I don't know, he's like a health freak. I never really thought anything of it because I just believed in him. But there were some like weird behaviors that he was starting to have, and I started to get a little bit suspicious for the first time in 2 years. All of a sudden he was working a lot of extra shifts. And I had never gone through his phone. Because like then we would fight about it and I just didn't really care. With all these suspicions, there was this one day where I really wanted to know what that passcode to the safe was. He's been doing this for 2 years, so there was this one day where I was like, okay, I've had enough. I have to figure out if something's going on. I'm gonna go through his phone for the first time. So I hide in the back of the door from the room where the safe is. And then I see what the passcode is. And now it's time to wait for him to fall asleep. I'm shaking because it's like the first time I'm gonna go through his phone. I think every girl can relate that when you go through your boyfriend's phones, even before you see anything, your heart's already racing because it's like, oh my goodness, if I find something out, I'm going to be destroyed. And when he falls asleep, I immediately run to go to the safe to grab his phone. Sure enough, I find out what these extra shifts are. He's been working extra shifts because he's been really busy having a second girlfriend. Shocker, the man with the phone inside the safe has a second girlfriend. I was furious. I wanted to slap him awake, but I didn't. Their text message exchanges started from like 6 months prior. So now I thought, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna just like wake him up and slap him. No, I have to think of something else. I decided I was gonna let him sleep like a baby. I was gonna buy a second phone number, and I was going to change her phone number on his phone to my second phone number that he had no clue about. This could be the perfect plan because I could orchestrate revenge and him not knowing anything. Some of those text message exchanges, I realized that they would meet up at a lot of hotels. That's where they would meet up because the worst part was that they would meet at hotels that I would pay for because I provide this relationship. So I block her actual number. I put mine in her name. As soon as I start being in contact with him, pretending to be her, I say that we have to meet up immediately. My whole plan was to pretend to be her and plan to meet him at a hotel like they usually did, then have me show up instead of her. They arranged me and him, he doesn't know it's me, meeting at a hotel as per usual, and he tells me, the real me, well, I'm gonna have to go on a work trip. I'm like, okay, no problem, you go on your work trip. It's time for me to start packing everything. You can't imagine the amount of gifts I gave this man. Like, whilst he was going to the hotel, I was packing everything up, and I was actually like destroying a lot of his things, but I would still put them in the suitcases. I'm actually gonna do another part telling you how it went down at the hotel when he saw me. My boyfriend tried to cheat on me, so this is what I did. So there I am pretending to be her, his other girlfriend. He's on his way to the hotel to meet her, and I'm at home packing all of his stuff. Like I said, I was providing for him. I give him gifts all the time. This is just proof that no matter what you do for a man, like, they don't care. All of his nice shirts that I had bought him, I was ripping them up, but I was still packing them. Meanwhile, he's trying to call me, but I can't pick up because he's gonna see that it's not her, that it's my voice. I'm constantly declining and being like, oh, sorry, baby, I'm late. I'm gonna be there in a second, but this goes on for like 2 hours. I make him wait for 2 hours because that's the minimum that I can do. It's finally time for my revenge. My adrenaline is through the roof. And I drive to that stupid hotel and I get there and he's already in the room. You can guess what his reaction was when he saw that who was knocking at the hotel door wasn't his other girlfriend. It was actually his 2-year girlfriend instead. You know, the one that had provided for him for 2 years, the one that let him live at her place. As soon as he opens the door, I smile and I'm like holding his suitcases and I just throw them inside the room. Now it's time for me to actually go crazy because I've been holding it in for the past couple of days of me pretending to be her. I think the worst part was that when he got confronted with it, I mean, he started crying and he started saying that he didn't know which one of us he loved more. Like, he was genuinely trying to get me to understand that it was possible for him to be in love with 2 people at the same time. I think that for a second he actually thought that I was gonna forgive him, which is crazy. I mean, take it as a sign. If your boyfriend sleeps with his phone in a safe, he's probably cheating.
Put a finger down if you was in your apartment one day and you decided to go for a little walk or whatever, and so your apartment have these elevators that you can go on, obviously, to get down to the bottom floor, go for your little walk. You get on the elevator, you see this cute little tiny puppy, and basically you're like, oh, that puppy's so cute, and then the girl is like, thank you, whatever, blah, 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 and then you look at the girl and you're like, oh, you're cute too, like, hey, friend, and she's like, hey, I just moved here, whatever, and you're just like, oh, hey, that's great. And then she's like, yeah, I don't really have any friends, yada yada. So y'all start busting it up, chopping it up, she's cool or whatever, and then you're like, oh, you know, you can come hang out with me and my friends or whatever. And she's like, oh, thanks, like, cool, I would love to do that. So then you invite her to basically come chill with you and your friends, and you know, she's a cool girl, you and your friends are like hanging out with her pretty much daily. like I said, she don't have no friends, so of course she calls you every single day. She actually calls you every day at like 9 a.m. at the same time every day, and which that's cool or whatever. I mean, we just met, but like, you know, nothing crazy. And so like she literally blows your phone up constantly, all day, every day, all the time. And everything is cool, like y'all are still hanging out, and then, you know, y'all kind of like are content creators, and like, you know, y'all kind of on the same type of, you know, thing, and so y'all basically start creating content together and just hanging out and doing our thing or whatever. And then eventually, after a couple weeks go by, she proposes the idea that you guys should probably move in together. And you're like, well, you know, I'm not really interested in that. You know, I have a man, I have a life, and I've moved in with people before, other than my man, and that has never worked out for me. And so she gets a little upset about that, and she's kind of like, no, we have to, like, we're doing content, and you know, we're friends now, and you know, we're like a thing, and we should just move in. It's just a good idea. And you tell her politely, like, no, like I said I said no. And she kind of gets a little upset about that. You thought that was weird, and you get a little irritated by that. And then a couple more weeks go by, and you know, she's still blowing your phone up every day at 9 a.m. And constantly throughout the day wanting to hang out, talk, you know, whatever. I guess that's, you know, that's obviously normal. We're friends, even though we just met a couple weeks ago. And she's just becoming kind of like really overwhelming, though, to the point where she's just like in your business a lot. And like, when you like have problems with your man, she's like kind of like telling you to kind of like leave your man a little bit, kind of. And it's just kind of like, it's not that serious, sis. And she's just like just really like overwhelmingly in your freaking business about it all the time. And so eventually you're just kind of like, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit claustrophobic, and you end up just kind of like telling your man, like I'm kind of getting irritated with this new friend that I met a couple weeks ago, and she's cool, but I'm kind of getting a little getting these weird vibes. And then she got mad about she got irritated about the whole moving in situation, and I think that's weird that she would even propose that because we just met, but and then eventually you just can't take it anymore. The 9 a.m. calls, the blowing up, the in your business, suffocating in your face, in your eye, in your coochie. And then eventually you're just like, I can't take it anymore. And you're just like, okay, I have to do something about this. I don't want to kick it with her like that because something ain't right. And so one day you're in your apartment and you're talking to your man about how you basically just like don't know how to tell her that you don't want to kick it. And then she calls you on the phone again, because she's always calling, okay? And you politely tell her, like, hey, I'm gonna call you back later, I'm kind of busy right now, you know. And then she says, is everything okay, are you sure? And I'm just like, yeah, no, everything's fine, I just need to call you back, right? And then you hang up on her, right? And then you turn to your man and you're like, see, I can't take it. Like, she's kind of down my neck and I don't know what to do. And then you kind of like explode a little bit because you're just like, it's just like really irritating for a person to be like that. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you hear a text message come to your phone, and you realize that it is the girl. And the text message says, it's okay, you don't have to be my friend anymore. I heard everything you said. And you just think, well, how did you hear everything I said if I hung up the phone? And she says she was standing outside your apartment listening to everything you said. And yeah, that was me.